make a stat sheet.
I think you're grabbing one.
Just another day in the Big Ten, and took everybody today. It took a whole bench. It took some guys that maybe you haven't seen a lot of play really well, and then obviously the return of Kofi. But I want to start this with DeMonte Williams. When we talk about our culture, winning is unpredictable. There's no way to just say we're going to win this way every time. And Chris had those guys ready to play. They played the heck out of Michigan the other night up there. Tonight was no different. Every game we play with Northwestern's like this, and yet DeMonte Williams doesn't look fancy on here. But all he did was 9 rebounds, guard the other team's best player, who was 5 inches taller than him most of the night, come up with some great rebounds, and then one that helped kind of put us over the top on an offensive rebound. And in a night where our guards were a little bit off and struggled, that's a tribute to Chris and the job they did defensively. But Plummer played in foul trouble. Trent's 2 of 10. But the other side of that is Trent played 40 minutes and just guarded the heck out of whoever he was on, whether it was Adij or Bowie. You go with RJ, you go with Pods, 2 guys that haven't played a lot, and just felt like it was the right thing to do, and it was we needed them all. And I love RJ's defensive prowess. I love his length, his athleticism. And then Pods, we know, is an elite shooter. That one was somewhere from Kenosha or somewhere close. But for him and those guys not to melt and not be nervous or uptight or whatever in the middle of a Big Ten season and just step in and do their job, I'm really happy for those guys. I do think that Omar Payne was huge today defensively with his block shots and protecting the rim, and then it was nice to have the horseback. So all in all, a hard-fought Big Ten win. Really proud of our depth, really proud of our team, and we were fortunate to sneak out here today.
Coach, it was kind of a slow-paced game. Were you okay with that, or would you rather sped them up a little bit?
They have a really good way of kind of keeping you under wraps that way. They play longer possessions. We're not a high turnover team. They don't turn it over much, even though we did force 7, I think, the first half. But me, I always want something quicker. But I was also pretty cognizant of the fact that Kofi's been out for what seems like half a season, and was worried about his conditioning. And that being said, we got to play a little bit quicker. We got to take our opportunities when they're there in transition. And the second half was a pretty pointed effort to try to get the ball inside to Kofi as often as we could.
Fred, you said we didn't see a lot of Brandon and RJ. So what have you seen in practice that gave you faith that those guys could do that?
Well, I see it every day in practice. And to be very honest, had every intention of playing RJ in the Michigan State game. And it just, he's 6'7", he's bouncy as heck. He's going to be a great player here. And it just didn't work. It wasn't right. But it was an unusual night. Jake wasn't, making shots, and they're both compete. They're both great competitors. I think it goes to what we try to be in our program is, guys continuing to work and push and grind and do individual workouts and extra lifts, and so I feel comfortable with them. But they got really good players in front of them, and it's not a fear. It was more just a feeling today that okay, we need it. We need them. Let's see what they can bring, and I didn't think that they would, stumble. I really didn't. That's why I put them in.
How much was Kofi able to do, I guess, in the last day just to be ready?
Yesterday was day of practice. Today was his okay because he didn't have symptoms. Prior to that, he could dry run offense. That was it. So those are our protocols. There's steps that go along with that, and there's 3 or 4 others before that. So yeah, day.
I guess what does it say about him that he was able to come in, go 10 of 17, 22 points, maybe be one of the reasons you did win this one?
Probably is. Yeah, I mean, he's a competitor. He's a winner. He's a guy that's going to fight you, and you know, I was very conscious of his. You know, it's hard. It's hard when you're out for a while to get a feel of the ball and a flow. And you know, to be very honest, we ran some actions we haven't ran in a while. You know, because we haven't had him. So, you know, that was part of the stagnant piece on the offensive end. Was we just weren't very fluid. We had a lot of standing tonight. So, you know, we had him yesterday, and we got to get back to understand we'll have him.
Coach, everyone's going to remember DeMonte's dunk, but to force one miss on Pete Nance, and then a kick out, and then a defensive rebound, all in a pretty short stretch. What's that say about him and what he's able to bring you guys?
It's what I've been saying for his whole career. You know, winning is very hard to define. So I just, you know, I think that Iz said it the best the other night, right? And in post game, you know, that's why we won. And his numbers didn't show up here. It's just who he guards and how he fights and how he competes. He's not afraid to make a play. He was incredible in the locker room at halftime, in the huddles. It's just put a big capital W by his name.
Seems like the light's gone on for Omar Payne a little bit in games, bring what he had in practice early. What's that transition for him been like, and what's made him kind of grow here as a player?
Well, he's an unbelievable kid, and Jeff Alexander has done a terrific job, and Fletch have done a terrific job of not letting that young man get discouraged. And yet his individual workouts every single day, he never misses a workout. He gets an extra lift. You know, he's set all new limits in his lifting almost weekly. And so for him to not get discouraged mentally is a big tribute to those guys. Yeah, he just continues to grow. And you know, now he understands terminology. He's starting to understand what we're doing, and we saw today his impact. Especially on the offensive end or on the defensive end, excuse me.
What do you think the flashes from the freshman Luke the other night and those two tonight can mean pushing it forward?
I hope a lot. I know it's made me feel really comfortable, and you know, I think that the more moments that you put them in, and the more stress you put them in, you know, it's kind of the saying, "Iron sharpens iron." You know, and those kids are really tough. I say kids are not kids anymore, they're guys. Those guys are really tough, and they've continued to work and battle, and you know, I think that helps us become a better basketball team and get to where we can play them major minutes if we need them.
Brian, you mentioned your frustrations about Trent being left off defensive player of the year this year. From your perspective, do you think that fueled him at all today in the good defensive showing?
I don't think it fueled him. I think he does it every single day. And, you know, I'm just, you know, I made my comments about that. I'm very frustrated because it's not a numbers deal. And you can look, and I don't know, you can look and say, well, he didn't get these steals, or he doesn't create this, or, you know, the way we play, all I can tell you is look at what the opponent's field goal percentage is against and their points per game against is. And then factor in, and this is why basketball people understand it, that sucker never makes a scouting report mistake. That's what's disappointing for me. But he lives as the best defender I've ever coached. And it's I've had some good ones.
There's something special and unique today about you subbing Pods in for defense, and how maybe that's a teaching point.
He's really strong. I mean, he can bench press the building, you know. He's got great strength. We were switching a couple of their actions. We felt much more comfortable with him in there, and you know, he's a high IQ player that understands and wasn't going to make a mistake. And so my hat's off to Brandon. He was terrific.
You mentioned Payne
pain and use the word scourge. And just broadly speaking, you get a veteran player who transfers, moves to a different part of the country, he doesn't play a whole lot, or you have freshmen who go away from home and not playing a whole lot yet, and of course they have people asking them about it and all that. How delicate is it for a team, for the coach, for a team, for a season, just to, make sure everybody's okay? And is that something that sinks a lot of team seasons?
Sure, I'm sure it does. We work really, really hard at relationships, and that's the key. And I have this saying, character. Everybody's heard me say character over characters, and I want really good character people who understand winning. And most of them don't understand winning. They understand it in an extracurricular activity. That's what high school basketball is. It's extracurricular. And now they come here and it's a business, and they have to learn to fight, and they have to learn to compete. Most importantly, they have to learn adversity. And it's most of the time, it's the first time they've dealt with it. And so we need to be there to really build an unbelievable relationship and a trust, because winning is really hard. Winning is really, really hard. And at this level, we all have really good players, great facilities, great crowds. It's hard. What separates you? Character. And, we try to build relationships. I got a great, great staff. And, that's a big part of what their teammates do too, as well as help those guys get through those moments.
Brad, you've won two games in the 50s this week after back-to-back losses, including one where you get a baby something. What did you find out about your team this week in close games and ugly offense?
Ugly? Just enough to know that we got a W. Again, I doesn't matter how we do it. And I don't care how we do that. And we've been not 100%. That's been evident and well documented. You're going without a guy you've been without. I don't even know how long Kofi's been out. It's been a long time, and now to bring him back, and there's a piece that gets a little frayed, when you're not as sharp. So you figure out how to do it. But I keep telling my team every single day, after every game, defense travels and wins, and rebounding and toughness, and we've got to continue to be that group. And when the ball doesn't go in, how are we going to win? The ball doesn't always go in, so we better figure it out, and tonight we found out.
What can you do to get those guys going? Grandis and Plummer, guys aren't shooting as well of late. What do you do to get those guys going here?
Kofi probably. I mean that Kofi probably. That's a big. That Jacob benefits the most from Kofi and his ability to enter, and he's a great passer. And you try to double off him and create that. So I don't worry about it. Those guys are going to be fine. It was but we're seeing a lot of people pay a lot of attention to Plummer too. He's a guy that is literally changing defenses and the way teams play against him.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Out here to the right, we'll have DeMonte, Kofi, and RJ.